Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is Sarbartha, the 3D printing enthusiast from India. In my last video, I had shown you how I have created a smart LED mod controller for my Bambu Lab X1 Carbon, which is this one. It's look great, but from inside, it looks a little messy.
Let me show you closely how my previous design looked like. Even though it worked great, the design was a bit clumsy and bulky.
In that video, I had shown you I have come up with a design to create a customized PCB for this particular design. And I have finally printed it out, which looks like this. And using this, I have made this design better and created a better looking mod, which is this one. And it looks really nice.
Let me give you a closer look at this design. Isn't this look much more elegant and beautiful?
In today's video, I'm going to talk how I have built it. So let's get started. Before I jump into how I have built it, let me once again show you how this LED mod works.
The Bambu Lab printers comes with a LED strip inside, which is good enough for the inside camera to take videos, but it's not good enough to see the prints going on inside your printer when the dark front door is closed, right? This LED mod will solve the problem. How
Before
my
we
X1
jump,
Carbon looks from outside the closed glass door with only stock LED on. Now let me switch on the smart LED strip and let's see how it looks. Well, isn't this lights looks great? The lights can be turned on and off from the printer. And in case any error comes, the lights will turn into red. Let me show you that. Isn't this cool? Now, when we start a print and the lighter sensor kicks in for your X1 Carbon, the mod controller will turn off the lighting so that it doesn't interfere with the LiDAR. Once the LiDAR is done scanning, it will turn back on and you can see your print is getting done. Once the print is done, the light will turn into green. Now, this is the PCB design which I have built for this project. I will walk you through again in details. So here you can see the terminal blocks to connect the RGB CCT lights, which has 6 pins, the 12 volt input, green, red, blue, cold white and one white light. Now, this is the input 12 volt connecting terminal block where we will connect the input blocks, which will pass through this switch through which we can manually switch it on and off. Then the input will go to the L7805 voltage regulators in port, and in between this and the ground we will put one capacitor. The output of this voltage regulator will be connected to the 5 volt input of ESP8266 chip, and in between all ground and this output we'll also put another capacitor of 470 μF, and the ground of this will be connected to the ground, as well as the ground will be connected to the ground pin of this ESP8266 chip. Now, to control the current flow into the remaining 5 pins of the LED, we'll be using these 5 MOSFETs, which will be controlled by this ESP8266 chip. The first pin of this MOSFET will be connected to the ground. The second pin will be connected to the corresponding color pin, and the third pin will be connected to the ESP8266 pins. Now, if you follow this particular design, you don't have to change anything into the code which I had shown in my last video. But if you do change that, then respectively you have to mention that into the code so that your corresponding pins can control the corresponding lights. That PCB schematic I have converted into this beautiful compact PCB design, where you can see the ESP8266 will come over here. Here is a terminal block where you will connect the RGB CCT LEDs. This is the input voltage terminal block. This is the block where you will connect your switch. These are the two places where the two capacitors will go in. This is the place where you will connect the L7805 voltage regulators, and these are the places where the 5 MOSFET will go in. If you want this design, let me know in the comment section, and I will share it with you for free. And don't forget to like and subscribe if you are liking this video. Now, let's get started with the soldering. First, you will need this printed PCB board. Next, you will need the ESP8266 mini chip, which comes with these connectors. Next, you will need the L7805 voltage regulator, which will convert the 12 volt input into 5 volt for the ESP8266 chip. This is the DC input connector. You will need two capacitors of 470 μF each. Also, you will need the switch which you can see at the top. Next, you will need 5 MOSFETs for your RGB CCT lights. And lastly, you will need these terminal blocks, a total 6 pins, 3.08 mm terminal blocks for the RGB CCT lights, and two 2 pins connectors for your DC input and the switch. First, let's solder the connecting pins into the ESP8266 chip. If you are new to soldering, don't worry, even though it looks tough, but it actually is very easy. And the soldering won't get shorted out the pins if you don't use too much of soldering wire. While soldering, make sure the pins are straight. Next, solder the connecting blocks into the board. And once done, this is how the ESP8266 will plug it in. Next, let's connect the terminal blocks for the power input as well as the switch. Now let's solder the capacitors. The long wire will connect to the positive side and the shorter wire to the negative side. Once it is soldered, you can cut the extra wires to look it much better. Similar way, solder the L7805 voltage regulator and the 5 MOSFETs in the corresponding places. My video recording got stuck while I was doing it, but you can see this is how it will look when it is done. Now let's connect the 12 volt DC input connector to the input terminal block. Make sure you connect the positive to the positive node and negative to the negative. Similarly, we have to connect the switch to the other terminal block. For my PCB design, I have also designed this cool looking box which I have 3D printed. Let's connect the switch into it and plug it into the terminal block. Now let's place the PCB into the box. I have also made two more holes into the box to connect the 12 volt power input as well as the RGB CCT light. Once everything is connected, this is the final look of our LED mod controller for our Bambu Lab X1 Carbon 3D printer. Now it's time to connect it to our printer and let it light up. Hey, that's all for today. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, do hit the like button and subscribe. Stay tuned for our next video and feel free to leave your thoughts and comments below. See you soon.